We've actually really been up and running for about 6 years. So, since around about 2005. Really what it looks like, it was based around Six Sigma. So certainly when we started, we were running just full rigor Six Sigma projects. Within almost immediately, we realized that we needed to accelerate our project delivery. So we developed an accelerated project delivery methodology to give faster results, to reflect Betfair's dynamic, fast-changing nature. Then we started to bring in elements of lean, so now we have that as well. And then finally, around about 2008, because we'd got quite a lot of pull demand from our key stakeholders, the leadership of the business, to get more involved in strategic initiatives, which may not follow a sort of a strict Six Sigma or a Lean Six Sigma methodology, but for which we have the skill set, facilitation skills, process mapping, so on and so forth, to enable these strategic projects. So we got involved in those. It was quite exciting getting involved with the program. I'd always worked in sort of more mature businesses. I started off with my Six Sigma journey in American Express and then moved on to GE, General Electric, so very sort of strong, mature businesses with big Six Sigma programs. What was great was really, it was in Betfair, it was my program. So basically what had happened though, before I arrived, there was a consultant that came in, an external consultant, had trained up a black belt and 15 green belts, and I think basically trained but then left those people to their own devices. And I think because of that, the program had run into some sort of difficulties and hadn't really delivered an awful lot in terms of adding value to the business. So I always say it wasn't really a green field, it was a sort of a muddy brown field. I think the way that we got going was really to basically get some early adopters. There were certainly quite a few people in the leadership team at Betfair that really wanted to make the program work and really were sort of demanding our services, which really helped. And then also getting some early successes, so using the Six Sigma methodology, showing that it works in certain areas centered around operations, and getting some good successes, and that really started to drive the program forward and sort of just started to generate pull demand for our services. As you said earlier, Betfair is the world's leading online betting exchange, so it is very successful in that. It was also the pioneer of the betting exchange concept, and so just to tell you a little bit about the exchange, basically that works by one of our punters choosing to bet at their own chosen odds, so their own selected odds, and if they can find another punter out there who's willing to accept those odds, that other punter will take the other side of the bet. And how Betfair makes its money is by taking a cut out of the net winnings of the winning bettor. Okay, so that's it. I mean, it's been very successful. It's gone from very, very low revenues to over 300 million pounds in revenue last year. We've got now around about 2,000 employees. I mean, that's doubled in my short space of time here. And just to put it in perspective, Betfair processes about 5 million transactions a day, which is actually more than all of the European stock exchanges combined. Actually, recently taken on an expanded role, and the focus of the role is still around process improvement. So literally that can mean working and engaging with any area of the business, of the Betfair business, although we do still tend to focus mainly on operations. We've expanded into the commercial areas, so marketing and the like. We've done work with human resources, finance, you name it, we've probably been there. And obviously we're a technology company, so we've been there too. Not only do we do process improvement, but we also offer some other services as well. So there's actually 4 other areas that we work with. One of them is customer experience. We're very customer focused, so really that's about listening to the customer and maybe using process improvement or the technology team to enhance the customer experience. Then we also can deliver training services to help our employees serve our customers better. We also look at risk and managing risk for the business, which is obviously very important for a betting business. And finally, we offer management information services. So we're very good with numbers, and we have a big team of analysts that can actually produce the information that our managers need in order to run the business better. One of the areas we found that can be a dissatisfier for our customers is basically around promotions, and obviously promotions are really designed to either acquire or build loyalty in our customer base. But we were finding that we were having a lot of problems in terms of errors in the delivery of the promotions, either in terms of the actual content of the emails or whatever medium was delivered to the customer, or indeed in the actual delivery of the promotion in terms of crediting the customer's account with the promotional value. So there was quite a few problems around that. So we were asked to look at that, as obviously it's very important that we look after our customers. And what we found was that really there was some issues that were really quite fundamental in terms of the definition of the process. And I think it was an interesting challenge, as I think the marketing mindset is slightly different to, say, an operations person's mindset. So it was challenging in terms of gaining acceptance that they were actually running a process and that they needed to follow set procedures, or errors could be introduced into the process. But so one of the key things we did was literally process definition and actually selling that process in to the marketing team and other stakeholders in the process. So that was good. One of the key tools that we used was the Kanban board, which we found was great for basically streamlining the scheduling of the emails, and to avoid backlogs in the process where people were maybe trying to demand the use of the stakeholders' time within the process all in one big lump and causing kind of bottlenecks and issues. Literally capacity issues. So actually by implementing a Kanban board where people basically reserve slots for delivery of their individual email promotions, the creative guys, that actually visually enabled them to see where they could reasonably fit their promotion, and obviously allowed the other people that work in the process to actually deliver against the creative's expectations. So that was really, really crucial. The other things we did was to create a very simple thing, but we created a single campaign brief document which ensured that all stakeholders in the process in a single document could register their requirements, gather all the information they needed, and work the process from one simple document which covered everything, which is really simple but actually worked very, very well. And I think the other key thing that we really needed to get over was that where something did go wrong, or potentially something could go wrong, that there was a chance to preempt that. So our help desk staff are very customer focused, obviously. So they now get a chance to get involved in the process early, the process of actually the promotion design, promotion setup and delivery. So they get in right at the outset so they can actually review the ideas and make sure that we can actually service that promotion and it will be easily understood and workable for the customer. And that's worked really well as well. Absolutely. I mean, the Kanban board, I would say, was the most important element, and really, helped us to really schedule the promotions and therefore, drive volume issues out of the process, which was very important. But also what we found was very important was monitoring of the error rates, and just having it there and having that as a key measurable that the marketing team were accountable to was really important. So actually implementing control charts, a means to monitor and track the errors, give visibility to that and allow people to be accountable to that, really helped get the buy-in of people so they could see, what the impact of a poorly designed promotion was. So that worked very well. Okay, well obviously we just talked about the control charts, and that's very important control. But also, you know, in my terms, the actual definition of process, and actually literally having a visual with the process there so that everybody could see and share it at the end of their workstations was really, really important, so that everybody could see how they could comply with the procedure. I think there were lots of procedures going on, but they weren't necessarily all the same. So now we're in a situation where we have a nice standardized process. So that's good. And obviously training in that process was very important too. So that was part of the controls. The other key thing for me was, again, very simple, but the brief, because effectively that acted as a checklist. So we made sure that all stakeholders, all of their requirements were met through completing the brief correctly. So basically the elements of the brief were acting as a checklist to make sure that the promotion ran smoothly. Well, we achieved, which I think is fantastic, we achieved an 85% reduction in the error rate within the promotions, the email promotion campaigns, which is really fantastic, down to less than 1 a month. To put that in perspective, that's 0.4% error rate. So, you know, it was pretty magnificent, especially in what is a largely creative and manual procedure. So we were very pleased with that. But interestingly, we also managed to achieve, through the Kanban board and use of the Kanban board slots, what we found was we could actually increase capacity. And this was really, really important to our marketing executives. So with the existing resources, we found that we could actually double the capacity, so they could actually cover more campaign segments, more customer segments through the campaigns, which is a key measure for them. And you know, this was something that they took as another plus. Although it wasn't our key metric within the Six Sigma project, it was very important to them that we could increase capacity. You know, a little bit more detail about that is really because we had a smooth, even flow, very lean, we could actually deliver more promotions, whereas what was happening before was everybody was trying to reserve the slot, say on Friday afternoon, which meant basically we could, you know, we were just constantly trying to catch up with the backlog and not being able to, you know, to run a smooth process. So it's good. Just taking it to the process improvement level, I mean, certainly all of our projects are, we have a key criteria. We select projects based on key criteria, and the heaviest weight really goes to, you know, are we enhancing the customer experience? Probably equally heavy, we look at financial impact benefit as well, but we do put a lot of weight on whether we are going to shift the needle in terms of the customer experience. So that really helps us to prioritise the right projects for our customers. Now, taking it up a level to operational excellence, which is the sort of wider brief that we mentioned earlier, I have another team within my remit called customer experience, and they really provide a fantastic tool to listen to the customer. So they're centred around surveys that are keyed off of the help desk. So when somebody contacts the help desk, a selection of those people will actually receive a survey. And what's great there is we can see, we have some numerical data. So we look at things like the customer satisfaction that the customer has given, their rating of the customer satisfaction in terms of the service they've received. But we also look at first-time resolution from the customer perspective, so whether their issue has been resolved by the help desk, which is very important. And you know, we also get a lot of information beyond the customer experience team from the MI team around the type of contacts that we're receiving on the help desk, so we can see the themes, you know, for issues that the customers are currently concerned with. Okay, so that's very good. So we've got a very good customer listening device. For me though, the key is it's not just about listening to the customer. What we found is that we have some fantastic customer insight around Betfair, and including generated from my team, but it's moving to action. That's the key. So it's not just listening to the customer, but actually deriving insight and then taking that into an improvement plan and then implementing that improvement plan. Now that may be through the process improvement team, or it may be a technologies enhancement, so changing the way a page looks on the site, or the functionality on the site. It could be a number of things. It could be a design around pricing. It could be trying to handle a new process for age verification so that it's easier for our customers, depending on what our customers are telling us. So it's moving to action. In terms of the wider Betfair business, with the exception of the customer experience team, which is within my remit, there are two other teams that are really crucial in terms of understanding the customer and their requirements. And there is a team called Customer Research, which obviously, as it says, researches the customer, does surveys and so on and so forth. But what's great there is they actually run the Net Promoter Score surveys, so we get a lot of good information from them using the ultimate question, as it's called, and listening to what they say. But key to that is actually trawling through the verbatims, understanding why a customer might be a detractor rather than a promoter, and then obviously taking that to action again. The other key area, and obviously being a technology company, this is really something we may have that's different to other companies, is we have a whole team that work around web analytics, so they can actually see things like customers' journeys through the site, what adverts are the most appealing to our customers, how the flow goes and how we should manage that flow. And they also have direct site feedback, so they can actually say, this particular page, did you find it useful or not? So all of that kind of stuff and all of that insight that comes from there is also another key input. I'm actually involved directly in the new customer strategy pillar, which is new for Betfair. I think in the past Betfair has been very successful in terms of rolling out new products or entering new markets, but I think now there's much more emphasis on focusing on the customer. So there is a customer strategy pillar, and there's also something called a customer experience rock, which is kind of like a strategic imperative that we're running throughout the business. So I get very involved with the customer experience program board to make sure that the changes that our customers want actually happen. Okay, well, I'd just like to say, it's definitely early doors. It's early stages for this at Betfair. As I say, I think only recently we've really started putting customer at the centre of what we do, and so it's quite interesting. We're kind of working towards getting more and more customer focus in our employee base. But what we do is share our insights across the business. So if you look around the business, there are display boards with information around, for example, the Net Promoter Program, so people know how we're doing in terms of people's perception of Betfair, our customers' perception of Betfair, I should say. We also use the intranet to report out where we're doing, how we're doing with our customer insight and the impact of the improvements on our customers. So we'll intermittently tell stories about what we've done, which is really good. So so more and more the employees are beginning to see, that we're building a customer focus. Interestingly, for the first time this fiscal year, our senior leaders have taken Net Promoter Score shifts into their objectives, so they're now accountable to actually improving the Net Promoter Score, which in turn means that they need to deliver customer experience enhancements, or they will not. That will hit them in the pocket. Okay, so that's the first time that we've had that. Maybe at a lower level, but interestingly, the senior leaders have got involved as well, and I think this is very powerful. From our help desk surveys and from our customer research surveys, we have, with the customer's permission, we can actually use their recorded calls and review their email responses and actually share those with our senior leaders. So it's quite interesting that when we have two people that actually look at those and actually call back our customers where there's a specific issue that we feel we can address. So at a micro level, we're actually responding to individual customers and perhaps winning them back, bringing them back on side. Obviously, hopefully they'll good word of mouth, and hopefully we'll make a remarkable comeback. But interesting, and I think this is great, the senior leaders have also got involved with that program, so they want to listen to what the customers are saying directly. This is something that, I realised there was an issue here virtually from the start. In the first year, we did stick to full rigour, so we delivered projects, not many of them, but we delivered projects through the Six Sigma methodology, full rigour Six Sigma methodology, and our approximate timeline for those projects was around about 6 months. Unfortunately, because, as I said earlier, Betfair is a very dynamic, fast-moving environment, and we were, in some cases, being overtaken by changes either within Betfair or within the marketplace within which Betfair operates. So we fairly quickly realised that we needed to speed up. We needed to deliver results more quickly, and how we did that was to take a critical look at the Lean Six Sigma methodology, or as it was then, Six Sigma methodology, and actually just look for the bare minimum tool set that we could get away with. Now, when I say that, what we always remember is that the business result is the key. I think there is a tendency among the Six Sigma community to focus too much on the tools and not on the end result. So lose the end result, and I think that's the key, is to get to the business result, get to the value add that we're looking for. So we took that view that where appropriate, we could take a more slimmed down version of the Six Sigma methodology and just run through that in a quick way. Now, the first step was to do that, so to take the slimmed down tool set. What we've discovered since then is that that can halve the time, and we can maybe still finish a project within around about 3 months, and that would include the control period, with results coming in around about 9 weeks, actual changes being implemented. But what we discovered is we could maybe even take it a step further, and by using a lean concept, we call it Blitz here, but basically sort of a Kaizen event, we found that we can sort of shortcut root cause identification, prioritization, and improvement plan development, possibly with some implementation, if not from actions from the meeting, through a single meeting, rather than running a series of meetings to get through sort of define, measure, analyse and improve. So we found that speeded up even more in some cases. But again, it's horses for courses. Some of our projects are very large and grand in scale, cross-functional, complicated, and therefore we still fall back on the full rigour methodology. But I would say about 70% of our projects are accelerated project delivery now. All of operational excellence definitely has focus, and our purpose, we see, is contributing across Betfair to generating both customer and shareholder value, taking it to the process improvement level. We always have a focus on delivering an impact to the financial bottom line of Betfair. So we do have some pretty challenging goals around delivering money to the bottom line. And I'd like to think we make a good contribution to that. In fact, the CEO, David Yu, has sort of stood up in shareholders' meetings and sort of recognised our contribution, which I see as a measure of success. So that will continue, there's no doubt about that. But looking more on the customer and strategy side, we have 4 strategic imperatives. The first one is a focus on our high-value customers. And Betfair has recently invested a lot of effort to identify their highest value customers, and our contribution to that will be to segment our customer service. So we're working to actually provide different levels of service depending on customer value, which is a whole new view for help desk, telephone betting and other operational areas. So that's one area for us where we'll be heavily involved. We're also involved in something called the US Exchange Project, and the US is currently a regulated market, but we're just at the start of US opening up to online gaming companies, and so we're very much involved in getting ourselves ready for actually launching initially in California. So we're contributing to that project in a big way in terms of supporting the rollout of the US exchange, well, the development and rollout of the US exchange, which is a key market for us, untapped market. Okay. Another area where we're heavily involved is something called sportsbook, which is perhaps the more normal understanding of what a betting company would be involved with. Sportsbook betting is more, with the odds being set by the company, and obviously people buying into that. Now, in some markets, we have the regulations are such that you can't roll out a betting exchange. So in order to be successful in those, or even to enter those markets, we need to be able to offer a sportsbook product in addition to exchange projects, so we can break some territories. So again, we're involved in that and how that would work with operations and customer service. Okay. Last, but by no means least, we've made a commitment this year to our customers through a customer charter, and that centres around the customer satisfaction from the help desk surveys, and also the first time resolution rates, so actually resolving the customer's issue on a first time basis. So obviously we're involved in actually making sure that we meet those commitments.